Welcome to Celebrate a Sister podcast. I'm your host, Emma Walkinshaw. I'm a transformational coach. I'm also the founder of Embody Me program and the creator of 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. You may also find me on the yoga mat leading yoga sessions and also running retreats here in Australia and internationally. Here on the podcast, I bring you some pretty incredible guests. We talk all things self-belief, body acceptance, personal development, outdated beauty standards, and we also call BS on the toxic diet culture, accepting the beautiful bodies we were born into, letting go of all the beliefs, and raising our self-awareness. I also come to you from time to time with a little solo episode, a little Life According to Emma moment. I'm so glad you're here. Enjoy. A big warm welcome to this week's episode of Celebrate a Sister. I am delighted to have a dear friend on the podcast today, but also a peer. So Emma Lovell has been absolutely instrumental in my retreat running part of my business. So I wanted to have Em on today because she's also written a book. So today you're going to be delighted with the two Emmas. So Emma, I'm going to have you take it away. And would you like to please introduce yourself and how you help people in the world and what you do?
Thank you, gorgeous Em. I am Emma Lovell and I am the Bleisure Coach, which means I help people to combine business, travel, and self-care. I'm a speaker, author, and coach consultant, so helping people to find this harmony in their life, whether they're in a corporate, whether they're running their own show, at any stage of life. I just feel like we don't have to wait for one day, someday in the future to start living. We can do it now. And I had this realization after running my business for 15 years and traveling the world and having so many people ask me, how do you do it? And I realized that was kind of my zone of genius. And so helping people to live a life they love, live a life I love is my mission. And I know I can help other people to do the same. So I'm based on the Gold Coast in Queensland. I have a husband who is Aquaman. He works at SeaWorld, so I call him Aquaman. I have a darling little boy who is going to be 4 next month, so I can't call him a toddler anymore, I don't think. Finn, and I have a cat called T'Challa, which trips everybody up with his little name. But they're very much my family, and they're part of my Bleisure life. So we travel together and live this wonderful life.
Oh, Em, and you are an absolute example, living example of this and an inspiration of mine. If I can just backtrack for our listeners and tell them how I stumbled across you and knowing that you could help me, which you have incredibly helped me. So again, Em, I mean, I'm sure I've said it to you before, but thank you, friend. You have absolutely helped and inspired me. So we met through, I think it was like on Instagram we met, and I think I reached out and we had a coffee.
Worlds. Yeah, we were in a few circles, and it was kind of like when someone keeps popping up, and yes, but I do think it was you reached out and sort of said, we're both in this thing, we should catch up.
Yes, so it was so wonderful to meet you face to face. And then listeners know that, or unless you're new, you might not know this, but I had a big desire to return to India. I'd been on a retreat myself and to return to India. And then you and I were chatting one day, and you, at that stage, which your number has gone up now, at that stage you'd been to India 13 times. I was like, oh my goodness, how, what, where, when, why? And you explained, well, I run retreats and I've got an incredible travel partner over there. And then from there, it just sparked in me this inspiration and said, oh my gosh, can you help me? You said, of course I can. And you gave me everything you had, every bit of knowledge you had, every contact you had. And that's how Yogi Louie and I, who I co-host with, ended up running a retreat in March this year, 2024. And then, of course, we're going back again in March 2025. But your inspiration and the countries that you've traveled to and the retreats you've run is nothing short of amazing. And I want to lead into your latest creation. I'm going to hold this up. I know this is podcast, but for those who do watch it, the latest creation which is just so wonderful, which is travel the world, make money, and live a life you love now. The art of bleisure. So, Em, can you explain to us? You have coined the term bleisure, and how does it reflect your philosophy on balancing work, travel, and personal life?
Well, I must disclaim that I didn't coin it. I own it. But it's funny, it actually came about in 2009, which is the year that my business came about. So two future forecasters came up with the term. It's kind of known in the travel industry, and it's probably more known about like corporate. So like corporate travel would know this term because what you would think the most common way you would think of bleisure and why people often say, I can't do bleisure is because it's like the literal combining of business and leisure. So you go on a conference, say, that's the business, and then you stay on, and that's the leisure. And so the travel companies are like selling that because they're like, oh, and we'll do an extension, or we'll do a, they can have this, leisurely time outside of the work time. I think corporate retreats or, people going for a meeting. You go for a meeting in Melbourne and you stay on for a night and spend time with friends. But that would kind of be the limitation. Or they'd say, well, I don't travel for work, so ergo I can't do bleisure. And I'm like, no, it's different. And so when I was kind of talking about this, how I run my business and travel the world, which was actually an article I wrote 7 years ago for a publication called She Defined. And it's funny because I was still separating the two. So I've very much made income from travel, as you said. I've been working with my travel partner for 7 years. And then, travel writing, I was tour managing, tour leading these charity challenges, inspiring people to raise thousands of dollars for charity when I was contracting to this company who would take people overseas. So I was making money from travel, but then my business was over here. So it was like I'd separated them and I was buying into this line, you can't make money from travel or you can't run a business in travel, which is absolute BS because there's a tourism industry. So, but it was like, if you're not working specifically in travel, then you can't make money from it, which is, it's just ridiculous because I was. But I had always separated and I had always done the travel and I would always run my business because my business is on my computer and my phone. So, but then you get put into the category of digital nomad, which I say I am also not. Because to me, a digital nomad is someone who goes intentionally away to live elsewhere, typically in a tropical, lovely place, to run their business and is only in an online format. But why the art of bleisure became about making money and not running a business or working, we don't use those terms because you can make money in so many ways. And it was brought to my attention last year in 2023 when I was sort of coming up with the concept of the book, because originally it was going to be how to run a business and travel the world and the entrepreneur sector really, because they're my peeps. That's where I come from. Freelancers, sole traders, entrepreneurs running their own show, showing them how to have the freedom that they actually signed up for. But it was like, no, actually, everyone can do this. I mean, everyone, because we all have the ability to make money. And that making money could be fruit picking. It could be selling your old furniture or jewelry or gold that you have around the house. It could be doing mystery shopping. It could be potentially doing some subcontracting, working for somebody else outside of your normal work. But it literally could be just that you do your job, which so many of us can do, on our computer elsewhere. And so I think people are missing out on so much travel opportunity because they're like, it's either holiday or business. It's travel or I'm working. It's this or that. And it's like, why can't it be and? And for me, it always has been and I just, the light had to come on. And it was somebody asking me that question again. Seriously, how do you run your business, travel, and have a kid? Like, and I was like, because I choose to. It's a very annoying answer because I choose to and I make it work. And then that's when I was kind of like, oh, people don't get this. And that person asking me legit earns 10 times the amount I earn. I was like, you are in a far better position to be doing this than I am. I mean, on paper, but I'm doing it. And so there's all these
Yeah.
other ways as well. It's like, well, what about my house? Airbnb it. Or what about where am I going to stay? Stay with a friend. Like how, oh, I don't have the money. Frequent flyer points. Like, there's so many other ways that I have, I don't just do one thing. I do all the things, sometimes too many things, but it's that combination, finding the harmony of the way it works for you And so the book is not a how-to, it's kind of like a buffet. It's more of a, I'm going to show you what's possible because of here's how I did it. And now I'm going to offer you a suite of options and ideas so you can like pick and mix and make your own life that you love.
Yeah. Well, that's the one that I particularly love is your chapter 8, which is travel hacks. I
Yeah.
love that chapter.
I
That
feel
is
like people
like
just
when
are buying it for that. Just
I know,
give me the
seriously.
hack.
I mean, seriously, Em, I mean, the whole book is brilliant. However, number 8, chapter 8 is actually one of my favorites with the travel hacks because they are, like you're saying, and like you say, your answer is annoying because I choose to. But this is the thing, we live in a country, those who are sitting here in Australia, even, some other wonderful countries, the UK, maybe even the United States, we actually do have choice and we do have these things available. Sometimes it takes a bit of creative thinking and courage.
Yeah.
That's what it takes just to say, well, I'm going to do things differently and looking outside of your own postcode, because that's the thing, life can become small, but if you have a desire to travel, like you say, you can actually make money. You can have this happen.
And I love that objection, Em, because I just want someone to bring me that objection. And I do feel like I answer it. But it's like, if somebody comes to me and says, what about this person in Africa? Or what about this person in India? And it's like, I was out on the weekend with this beautiful woman, Grace Arach, who is a survivor she was a child of soldier in Uganda.
Wow.
And I met her through World Vision and I get shivers. I met her nearly 10 years ago. That woman has changed her life. Like she was put into the worst situation, the worst circumstances. She's the least likely to succeed. But she's here in Australia, working in her profession, setting up an NGO. She's just married her love of her life. She's planning on, like we're talking about, I'm like, we are going, Grace. One day we are going. I'm taking my family. We're going together. You're going to show me your home. We're going to Uganda together. So it's like, don't tell me what other people are doing because I know what other people are doing. And right now, listeners, I'm talking to you. And if you're sitting here listening, you have choice. And even those people, again, in India, India is the most entrepreneurial country in the world. They
Yeah.
they change their lives. They choose what they want to do. Like sometimes they go into what the family has done and all that sort of stuff. But then they make it their own and they grow it. And I know so many self-made people, dear friends that are self-made, because they choose to. And their circumstances, they defy their circumstances. And what we're here over here with, like every opportunity in Australia. We're talking to the
Yeah.
audience right now if you're in Australia. Every opportunity, but you are also coming up with every excuse as to why not. And saying, oh, so and so can't. I'm like, I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to you. Tell me why you can't, and I'll tell you why you can.
Yeah, I love that, Em, because that's the thing. We are often daily given pivotal moments where we could go left instead of right. Like we just are. We can actually pave our own way. And, if for our listeners, if you go, oh, well, where do I even start? This is why you pick up Em's book, The Art of Bleisure,
I did.
even just for chapter 8, but the whole book's brilliant. But even just for that, just to go, well, where would I start? So, Em, you've given some great tips in the book, which I absolutely love. And also, you've been really honest in the book too, which
Mhm.
I also really appreciate.
I didn't really realize I was going to be, because you live it, right? Like this is
Yeah.
some of it. I mean, we're going back to childhood in this book. So it was a big book to
Yeah.
do because we're going back to like, well, why do I travel so much? Because my parents are from England. My family literally is overseas. Like if I want to have a relationship with our family, we had to go to them. And so travel is in my blood. It is part of my family. My parents emigrated here. They are travelers as well. So my dad's industry was very international. So I was exposed to people from all around the world from such a young age. That is not an unusual thing for me to have friends in Thailand and Nepal and Brunei and Sri Lanka and wherever else they were visiting from. And I loved that. And they encouraged that. So I shared a lot of that. But then, it was that kind of, oh wow, actually this is all normal to me, but there's some dirty laundry, if you will, here. And I did a presentation for Business Chicks where I did an abridged version, a sort of presentation and shared some stuff from the book. And some of the people afterwards were like messaging me like, I didn't know you'd gone through that, or I didn't know that happened to you. And it's like, well, of course you didn't. You've only known me for 4 years. But like, I talk about my finances, I talk about injury, I talk about mental health, I talk about struggles when even with pregnancy, there's all these things that, are now part of my story. And there's sort of, I can say them very flippantly. I mean, the opening of the book is also tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, which I can still read and feel a bit. But by the time I said it so many times and written it so many times, it's just part of the story. And so people are kind of going, oh my goodness. And I didn't think about that, I guess, how it would come back to me or what would land with certain people. And yeah, some of it is quite exposed, I guess.
Yeah. Do you feel like the process of writing the book was quite healing?
Yeah, it's funny. I went to my kinesiologist and like ages ago and I told her about writing the book and she was like, okay. And it was that, all right, whenever somebody comes to me and says that, she's like, here we go. And I was like, oh, what? It's like Legally Blonde, like what? Because it's like hard or something. But it was actually, and she's like, no, because you're going to relive everything. Everything that you write about, everything that you're talking about is going to relive it. Not only in the memories come up, but in the lesson will come up. So if I'm writing about struggles with money, I'm probably going to struggle with money. If I'm writing about mental health, I might feel like that mental health comes back. Like you're going to go through it, but it is a catharsis and it is a healing. I think what part of it though as well is you get very protective as well when you're writing it. So I think that was my challenge was like the fear with handing it over to the editor of like I was fearful not about what you, the reader, would get the book and review. If somebody doesn't like it in the end, I'm like, I'm not for everyone. That's fine. What I was fearful of was that I wouldn't love it, that this is my life's work. This was half a lifetime. I'm 37. I declared I would write a book at 19, and I thought it would be a how to travel as a backpacker, and ended up being some of that. It's got some of that how to travel in it, but 18 years of wanting to do this thing, that's a lot. It didn't take, it took, it was a year of commitment, but it was 18 years in the making. And it's my entire life, a lot of it in there. So to hand that over to somebody and to think that I might have been edited out, that's what I was worried about. And that I wouldn't be able to stand here with this book and love it. So the most important critic was me. And when I realized
Yeah.
that, and I got some very kind advice from a couple of people, and it was the first manuscript is for you. The first draft is for you. And one even said the first, second, third, fourth draft is for you. Then once it goes into the hands of the editor, they make it better. If they're a good editor, they work with you, they make it better. And, there's nothing that I read in there that I go, oh, that's not in there. I really miss it and I wish it was in there. I understand all of what was taken out. And I always have that full whole I have that piece that I wrote. I've always got that forever. But this was the book that the audience needed. And so I was comfortable enough to let go at that point. But that bit for me was the terrifying bit. And the editing process ended up being lovely, but it was the thing I was most scared about.
Yeah, that's such a process to go through. And that first original copy that you wrote, when you were saying that, Emma, I was going like, that's your legacy. That's your private for your family, your grandchildren, if that's the case, or your family that has got that raw material, the raw Emma. That is, yeah, that is beautiful. But you're right. The editor, if your editor's great, they actually prepare it to make it even better to move out into the world. So, would it be fair to say you're incredibly proud of the end result?
Yeah, and now you're making me want to cry. I don't think I don't think I've allowed myself to sit in it enough. Um, it was a very intense time, as Em knows, she was right there beside me. Um, my nephew passed away from a terminal illness on the 9th of July. His funeral was on the 22nd of July. And on the 23rd of July, I hosted a retreat. And thank goodness you were there, Emma, because I was, I just felt so nurtured. It was the best place to go. It was ironically the best, like to be in service, but also to have you were there in my support. Everyone was there and it really supported me. But I was editing the book then. Like we were working on the edits then. Like we were working on the book up to like 3 days before there's things that before the print date, you know. I didn't know on the 23rd of August, my launch date, if the book would be there. That's how to deadline we were. I think I was in shock the night of my book launch. Like I think I look like a deer in the headlights in the photos. Like it was just, oh, my phone, my thing's just turned off. I get my light turned off. Deer in the headlights that had no lights. Um, I was just overwhelmed because I don't think I could believe that it was happening. And then it's such a whirlwind after that because you are in this PR promotion thing. And that is so important. Those first 3 months once you launch the book are crucial to the success of the book. And I've always known that. I knew that from years ago. My background is PR and promotion, so that's the bit where I get to shine. It was fun. It was fun, but I was running on fumes. And so it was just do what I had to do. And even I went and one of my goals was to see my book in a bookshop. My next goal, I need to see it in an airport. That's the see the book in the airport shop and best-selling author, which is 5,000 copies. They're the goals. That's me complete. Anything else is a bonus. But to see it, I knew it would get into bookshops, but I didn't know which. It ended up being in Dymocks in Brisbane, which is Queensland's largest bookstore. And I went in and I found it on the shelf and I don't think I allowed myself to even. I thought I'd fall on the floor. I thought I'd scream. But even then I was like holding it back. So I think there's still some releasing and relishing and pride needs to come because it just is. It's such a big thing and it is a legacy. And I know that it's going to keep, just the little moments. The gift of the book is, and you've, I hope, experienced this too, Em. I mean, I was using Em's book this morning, like once people get it in their hands, and this I found with engagement as well, when I got engaged, I thought the engagement was all about the proposal, but it was the sharing it afterwards, telling each time you told somebody, them sharing in your love and your joy. And I genuinely think there have been people who have been more excited for me and proud of me in these last few months about the book than I've allowed myself to be. And that's a little bit of I had to keep going. But now I have this time. And so I'm going to spend this next few months really soaking it in, really embracing it, sobbing over it. Opening, I don't know if you saw, but I opened, it's still on my Instagram, it's like pinned reel, me opening the book. That you can see what it meant to me. And I watch that some days just to be like, I did it, like seeing your name on a book. It's insane.
Yes. Oh, Em. And this is true, Em. I mean, the loss of your nephew and the grief in this time, I can understand why it hasn't quite fully landed or integrated. But I do love that you have got two other beautiful milestones that you will hit, the 5,000 copies and seeing it in the airport. That is going to happen. And perhaps there's going to be a little bit of gap of time and you will be able to actually immerse yourself in that and feel that absolute joy. And this is the thing with a book, it is the gift that keeps on giving because it is out into the world now. Forevermore, you'll run into people or people will read your book and go, oh my goodness, you'll get an email, you'll get a message. It is a really beautiful thing to bring into the world. And I know that feeling. You said you would and you did. 18 years in the making, from being 19 years of age and saying, I am going to achieve this. And this is the thing I feel about goals or about aspirations or things that we have. It's not always on your timeline, but hold the faith. Hold the faith. So any of our listeners, if you have got something on your heart, like a book, like M's story, or you've got something that you want to give birth to, it's almost like, I don't want to be condescending and go, be patient, but it's not often on your timeline because there is sometimes a lot of things that need to be orchestrated for you to birth it or bring it into the world, but keep the faith. I mean, 18 years in the making, and then the process of writing the book a year. How long do you think, if you think from the moment you kind of, that first word hit the page to it being into the hands of the reader, how long do you feel that took?
It's a year.
One year.
Give it a year, but I think the writing it can be like for me, if you like gave it solid time. I mean, one of my friends wrote her book in 20 days. We know Tina Tower wrote hers in 8 days. I mean, when we say that, we're saying like the sort of core content, because there's like it really, when you hand it over to the editor, it transforms, you know. Um, and there were things like case studies that I interviewed, and then there was a transcript, and then you're like fuddling around with it. There was voice notes. So even over the new year, I was driving to Tamworth and I got this idea. I was listening to another book and I loved how his book started. And so I just hit the voice memo and just started saying stuff. And that really formed a lot of the introduction, and some of chapter one, And so there's lots of pulling bits and bobs. There's things like transcripts from podcasts that I already had, So I just think people focus so much. It's like the biggest thing I keep saying. If you're thinking about writing a book, stop focusing on the writing, like, because it's the time with the idea, it's the concept, it's the planning, it's the marketing, it's the market viability, that sort of thing. That's if you want your book to do well. If you just want to write your story, sure, you're just sitting there writing. But if you're going to publish it for like an audience, the cover, working on the cover. So from the day I decided, I was working on the book every single day in some way, shape, or form, talking about it, looking at designers, playing on Canva, choosing, what my photo outfit would be. Those things do matter. They do add up. And someone said something that was really nice, was the chemistry of a book. And so one of my dear gorgeous girl from high school bought my book and then said, "Can I buy 10?" And I was like, yeah, you can. So she bought 10 copies and sent one to her sister. And she said, she sent the text message to me. She said, "I've just received Emma's book and it feels so good. The cover and the way it feels, the matte finish, the weight, the look of the cover." She's like, "It just makes me want to crawl up under the doona and read it." And I was like, what a compliment. And that was something that was important to me, because sometimes like the paper you use, the printing, all of those things add up. And it would just be such a shame if the intention of the book was then tainted by the fact that you chose to do a glossy finish, or the back cover was a bit sloppy, or you open it up and then the layout isn't very conducive to reading. Like, there are books that you've put down because you're like, it's just too hard to read. So one of my things was being a mum with a young child. And then people say, "I haven't finished your book." I said, "That's fine. I wrote it in a way, I laid it out in a way, I wrote it in a way that you can pick it up, read a few pages, get something from that and put it back down." Because that's how I read books. I'm a dabbler. I flick
Yeah.
around, I jump around, I see a heading I like and I go for it. And so I wanted my book to have that. And so all these things have to be thought about, not just writing out a slab of text.
Yeah, I agree. And it's all those bits that, and I often say in the process, things are revealed that you didn't even anticipate. So it's going through and it's being a little bit fluid in that time. And that's where even you saying that timeline, it is really knowing that you can have a loose timeline and you can do your best to stick to it, but it can be challenging as you experienced, Em, like right to the deadline. I remember on the retreat, you were that night on the phone to the editor, you were still editing that book right to the absolute line. But I also love a deadline too, because this is a thing. Any of our listeners who are sitting out, if we don't set a loose guideline in, it never gets done.
No, we
It's
had to. And I know people who've
yeah,
still been working on their books for 2 to 3 years and they still don't have it in their hands. And I'm like, whereas I said, people laughed
yeah,
in a way, like I was selling tickets to the book launch.
yeah,
And like, "But you're still writing it." And I was like, that's how it works. You sell a
yeah,
course, you haven't finished the course. We sell an offer. I'm not really sure like, what it's going to be like. So you're selling the idea. And
yeah,
then because you've set the date, you're like, by that date, I will. And so for some personality types, that freaks them the hell out. But I really trust in it's not the how, it's the knowing. And one of the things that I really relied on with this principle, the principle I relied on for this book was who, not how. So
yeah,
I didn't need to learn all the elements of writing a book, all the elements of publishing, because it's just a totally new industry. Like, I only realized the day that I was going to the post office. I think I wrote to you, Emma. I was like, oh my God, I started an e-commerce business. I didn't think about the fact that I was going to have a product. And like, I did figure I was messaging Em going, how do I post stuff? Like, I don't bulk. It's, you
Yeah,
buy a printer to print labels. We had a whole production line in the lounge room. My husband wheeling this giant, it's a good problem to have. We had 160 copies to send out, but logistically, I'm a service-based business, have been for 15 years. I don't know how to, so you had to learn this whole new skill set. And so it was who, not how. Um, who can help me do the how, like, or who can do the how, so that I can focus on my genius, which was the content and the
yeah,
promotion side. I knew that, but even then, I got a publicist because I have a background in PR, but I'm too close to it, and I simply didn't have time. And the way that she was able to see the opportunities for me, and it was really nice for me to be. And one of the things coming up for me a lot at the moment, we did Sacred Money Archetypes together through Denise Duffield Thomas, and my biggest realization was that I have celebrity, and that was really hidden and really suppressed, even though to the outside world, I have a sparkly
yeah,
suit on the cover of my book. They're like, duh, you're a celebrity. But
yeah,
it was not allowing myself to fully shine. And so for this book process, I got to step into my celebrity. And I was like, I have to let other people do things. And I want to let other people do things. Let them shine in their expertise and let me shine in mine. And it was really lovely to get to be the star, I guess.
yeah. And you grew a lot, Em. As your friend watching you, your growth has been exponential. It has been so wonderful and very inspiring. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we want? Everyone around us to grow. Because when our circle is growing, we are growing too.
Mm.
It is so exciting. And I cannot wait to see what 2025 has in store for you. So, Em, is there another book coming?
Yeah, I declared it in the book. So really I don't mince around. But I wrote coming in 2025. And so I'm not sure we'll release in 2025. As entrepreneurs, we have to be unreal, we have to have unreasonable and unrealistic dreams. And so I was thinking that when we're writing, like, don't stop yourself from writing down those big things, a bit unrealistic, because it just might take you a little longer, but you'll get there. I look back on things I've written before, I think, oh, sweetie, so unrealistic. But I know I'll get there. It just will take longer than trying to do the 11 things in a year that I think I can do. So it says coming in 2025. So I think that it might be coming to me in 2025 and it might be released in 2026. But the book will be, I declared it in the back, so it will be about retreats. So that is one thing I've been doing is I created a new company. Retreats has really become something way bigger than what I thought it would be. But again, stepping into my zone of genius, I do enjoy hosting them. But what I enjoy even more is empowering people like you, Em, who already host a retreat, but to take their retreats to the next level, and helping other retreat hosts to run profitable retreats around the world, especially in South Asia, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan. That's our specialty area. And so I've set up a new company that is specifically about that. So 2025 will be that, setting that up, and the book will come through with that.
Oh, wonderful. Speaking of retreats, Em, you have got some coming up. What have you got? Share with the listeners. Anyone who is looking around thinking, I'd love a retreat. And I don't want to give this, I don't want to, I'm just going to say it. And you're even going to host retreats for writers, aren't you, Em? Is that in the
Mhm.
cards? Yeah. So anyone who has even got a book in their heart. So can you share with the listeners what your retreats you've got coming up? And if anyone wants to write a book, perhaps the writer's retreat.
Yeah, so the only one I've got locked in at the moment is February 2025, 19th to 22nd. It's in beautiful Kangaroo Valley, which has the most incredible energy. And I'm so excited to go and share it with people. That will be my final rest and receive retreat in that format, which is it's about learning how we create time and space so that we can welcome in opportunities. It's a great time of year to set goals and intentions. I think people think you do all your planning in November, December. But I think that you might have some ideas now, but all the astrological stuff right now is saying, wait, don't rush, wait. So anything you think is going to happen, lock it in, you're going to lock it in February. Like that's when the clarity and the decision making will come. So I'm so happy that we chose that time. And then, yeah, I just want to have fun with these retreats too. So I will have an international one that will be late 2025 that I just will. I don't know when it's going to launch. So get on my mailing list, emmalovell.au/retreats. I'm only going to release it to the mailing list for the first month or so. And then after that, it's going to be a lot of collaboration. So I'm looking at running a writing retreat with another incredible writer who is also an author advocate. I might look at doing a podcast retreat. We might look at doing a speaking retreat. So really niching down. And like you said, we rise together. So I'm very much into that collaboration in terms of collaboration for me as the host or as in the creator, but also the collaboration for the group. And I just believe in that. All that I've wanted to do with this book is hang out with other authors. And I think you need to surround yourself with people who are doing the thing you want to do and see it as that collaboration and sharing and respect as opposed to any competition. And so the same with the retreats. We get a room full of retreat hosts together, but there's no competition because you're all so different and you've all got such different audiences. And we're only going to take 12 people. So there's plenty of pie for everyone. And the more we share and the more we support, the more good we can do. And I'm just such a believer in that. So that's what I bring in. So if you want to find your little circle or find some love and support, then come on one of the rest and receive retreats because that's what we're all about.
Beautiful, Em. I agree. Yes, it is about collaboration and connection, and women do that so well. And that's what I love about our friendship and our connection is it's always how can we help each other? And you and I are both very, very blessed to be connected with some incredible women who have that ethos. And you and I know both have had some wonderful opportunities just through other women putting you forward. And that is just such a beautiful. And you're right, I am more than enough to go around. Plenty of pie. If you are keen on running retreats, Emma is your woman. So see her. So in the show notes will be all of Emma's details to get on Em's email list, look at upcoming retreats. And if you have a book in your heart, or if you have got any of these ideas that we've shared today and you feel inspired, definitely jump on the M train.
Jump on the M&M train. We are,
Yeah, the
yeah.
M
Um,
train.
I love our relationship, and I
Fun.
can't thank you enough, Em, for your support these past few years. Like the synergy is insane. Like it's very confusing. We're both Emmas. We both live on the Gold Coast. We both have blonde hair. We both run retreats. We're both authors. We both run retreats in India. It's getting like a little bit but that mutual respect and that sharing and giving between us, it's just been so beautiful. And it's everything I want in a business relationship, but also a friendship. And so incredibly grateful, Em.
Same. I feel the same, Em. Thank you. So, to all of our listeners, Em, if you were just to give one parting little advice around pleasure, and if anyone's thinking, how can I make this happen? What would you say is the first, or you've probably got more than one first step, but what would you say is just something that they can do to start to open their mind up to potentially the idea of the pleasure life? One little tip for our listeners to take away today.
You've got to embrace the travel mindset. And so I think what people look at what I do and they think about the jet setting and they think about the big international trips, but it's not what I'm selling. Um, it's about making the time and the space to be in awe and wonder. And you actually don't need to go very far to do that. Some of my favorite travels at the moment are like going down an hour and a half to a friend's farm. It's in the like hinterland region. Just the energy and the space there is so beautiful. Or I'll go to this lovely animal sanctuary and pat animals for the day. And that's stuff that you usually do on holiday, or I go away overseas and I tell everyone about these amazing beaches that we have here on the Gold Coast. And then I sit there and think, when was the last time I went down to the beach? It's like we have probably in your area, you have the most wonderful things. And so the excuse of there's no time or you need a long time in order to have a break is just not true. So I encourage you to embrace the afternoon, the eve, one night away, the weekend away. The land of the long weekend is such a wonderful place to be. And I honestly believe that sometimes 2, 3 nights away is far more restorative than the big holiday where you go overseas and do all the things. So just embrace seeing the world around you with awe and wonder. And one of the best ways to do that is go and hang out with a little kid, because they just seeing the world through their eyes and doing things with them. It's just a really easy, like go to a park, go to a beach, be playful. That's what I love about travel. And so embrace the traveler mindset.
Beautiful. That is brilliant. Embrace the travel mindset. And that's it. Start small, like little day trips or a night away. You can make it happen. It's a mindset. It is. It's the mindset of even curiosity and exploration, adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's where the
Brilliant
idea,
mindset.
more will come and more will come, and then you'll want more of that. Like attracts like, you'll do more and more of it. And then you can do the big trips, of course, but not every travel has to look the same. And so I really have fun in exploring different types of travel, different ways at different seasons of my life. But as long as I'm kind of looking at a new window or looking at a new vista, like that's just going to bring creativity, inspiration, space, rest, joy.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, Em. I want to say again, thanks for joining me today. And to all the listeners, like I mentioned, everything will be in the show notes. Thanks, Em. Go and have a gorgeous day. Well, actually, I'll be seeing you later. But
Can't get enough.
but no, I love it. But thank you, Em. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate your pearls of wisdom and being courageous enough to bring this book into the world. All of the good, the bad, and the in between, but the honesty is refreshing. And thank you, Em. Thank you, my darling. Yay. Yeah, the books. Thanks, Em.
Thank you.
I have a little gift for you. It is a 7-day Curvy Women's Mindset, Meditation and Movement mini course. There is a little bit of gentle yoga in there, which is wonderful for the body, bringing a beautiful sense of calm. There is also some journaling prompts and a theme that helps shift our mindset. All you need to do is carve out 21 minutes a day to enjoy this little mini course that will have some profound transformation in shifting your mindset and perhaps sparking some inspiration. In the show notes of this podcast, all I need is your email and it will be sent to you right away. Enjoy the Curvy Women's Mindset, Meditation and Movement mini course.